What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today is our first of many, which will be a long journey into the 2025 NFL Draft. Joining me, as always, he is Ryan Reese. Go give him a shout out on X at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. Ready to talk some college football, and yeah, I'm excited.
Dude, this is good. Like, so if anybody watched our 2024 content, thank you. We are starting a lot earlier live than we did last year. This is the first show where we're going to be talking our favorite Heisman hopefuls, candidates, not just for the 2025 NFL Draft, but for possibly 2026 and moving forward. So it's going to be really fun. We're going to be doing this every Sunday night, talking Eagles draft targets. We have a lot of things in store that's going to be more gambling to fantasy to different bets and things like that in store. But yeah, it's going to be fun, Ron.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good fun college football season, and yeah, I'm glad we're starting now. Kind of getting ahead of it. Talk about some Heisman, and then I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the college football landscape. Later on. In this off season, and it's always fun to kind of tie it together. With the Eagles, and obviously we're talking Heisman candidates, so we're probably not going to be talking about too many Eagles targets here tonight. But yeah, it's still fun to get this started again, and here starts the path to the draft, so they say, right?
Step one to me beating Ryan in our dueling mock drafts in about 6 months. But anyway,
right now, no.
No. If you're watching us, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of fun stuff. We're live, so comment. Let us know your thoughts. We're gonna go 10-1. Our favorite Heisman hopefuls, and this was a tough list for me personally because I have my takes on some guys, maybe unpopular opinions. I don't know how you did yours, Ryan, but we don't know each other's, and we're just gonna roll through this. So let's do it, man. Do you want to go first, or do you want to go second?
I'll go second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to keep these short and sweet. We're not going to go too in-depth on these, but give me Noah Fifita, quarterback for Arizona. This is a quarterback who had one of the better freshman seasons of any quarterback back in 2023, 25 touchdowns through the air. He completed 73% of his passes despite only starting 9 games. He's got his best friend and top target, T-Mac, a massive wide receiver, Ryan, that we're going to be playing as a lot in EA College Football 25. I expect he's a beast. But yeah, get to know T-Mac before anyone else does. But he decided to opt out of the 2024 NFL Draft with T-Mac, despite head coach Jed Fish heading to Washington. He led the Wildcats to 10 wins last year. He's looking to pilot the program to a Big 12 title in their first year in the conference. I think he's the best quarterback personally in the conference. And if he manages to pull that off, man, that means he has to, be better than Kansas, be better than Oklahoma State, be better than Utah. This could be the first Arizona player ever to be invited to New York for a Heisman Trophy. So yeah, give me this guy, man. I thought he was one of the more fun storylines of last year, and I think he's a household name in 2024.
Yeah, no, that's you're absolutely right, and the combination. We talked about this last year at times where we talked about the best kind of quarterback wide receiver tandems here, and Arizona is certainly going to be talked about for sure. I mean, listen, he's following in the great lineage of Arizona quarterbacks. That being of our good boy Nick Foles. So
I love it. All right, who's your number 10? Do you have a number 10?
Yes. So my number 10 is Avery Johnson, quarterback from Kansas State. This is a guy who I really kind of really dug what he was about last year. And I think looking at the team overall, I think he's going to be certainly poised for success. And yeah, this is a guy again. It's all quarterback driven here, as you'll obviously see. But there's some really good quarterbacks here, and I think he could be one of those sneaky guys that kind of come out of nowhere kind of later on in the season. So definitely a fan of his. So
You would pick the one guy I don't have a logo on.
oh, I'm sorry. Jeez, of course, my bad. My
Sorry.
apologies. I will be better. I'll be better.
All right. Avery Johnson. It's Avery Johnson, correct?
Yes, yeah, Avery Johnson.
I have not covered him yet, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
he's again. It's I don't think necessarily I think he's got a huge big outside shot here, but yeah, I think Kansas State certainly could turn some heads. Surprisingly.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to roll on my number 9 on this list, and I think this is where it's interesting. I think the top 5 are pretty unanimous. Not unanimous, but you're going to be guys you already know about. But I think
Right,
8 and above are guys that are really guys that I'm more in on, especially when it comes to NFL draft prospects than some others. But the guy that I circled for my target is Connor Wegman for Texas A&M. I think this guy is on the rise. He's playing under a new head coach in Mike Elko this year. He's a former 5-star recruit, great, prototypical size and frame for a NFL quarterback, 6'3", 215, completed 69% of his passes for nearly 1,000 yards and 8 scores and 2 picks before an injury cut down his 2023 season. Now that he's fully healthy, I think this guy has the athleticism and the arm talent to be a potential first-round pick in next year's draft. As a prospect, he's got really good throwing touch and accuracy. He, when it comes to things he needs to improve on, it really comes down to just needing further seasoning. A lot of it stems from inexperience. He's not a natural progression quarterback when it comes to consistency. So his anticipation can also be inconsistent, but the tools are all there for this guy. He's a guy that knows how to layer throws on all 3 levels, and the Aggies look to be much improved this year. I think they have a shot at winning at least 10 games for the first time since 2012. And you add in one of the best transfer classes in college football, period. I think Connor Wegman could be a household name in the very near future. That is Connor Wegman.
Yeah. No, I really do. I like him quite a bit. And I actually have him at number 8.
Okay. I'll let him do.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, the second you said, I was like, all right, cool. We're kind of on the same page there. So yeah, he's certainly a guy that you have to keep your eye on for sure. So,
all right, who's your number 9?
My number 9, and I hope I'm going to say this person's name right. It's quarterback from LSU,
yes.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Nussmeier, yeah, you got
Nussmeier. All right, yeah, there we go. Yeah, listen, LSU. He's got some big shoes to fill. Obviously with Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman last year. But still, I think LSU still has certainly a lot of weapons. They're always going to have some amazing wide receivers, and there's always going to be an offensive weapon that kind of comes out of nowhere. It just happens every single year. There's always a guy there. So yeah, I think Nussmeier, again, didn't really see much out of him last year, just given the fact that he's sitting behind Jaden Daniels. But yeah, I think he's kind of one of those big arm kind of guys that can make the plays when needed, and shows he has good long down the field accuracy, and I think that's going to bode well given the talent on the LSU program. So, yeah, I think I'm excited to kind of see what he has, given the the job full time. So, Nussmeier's my next guy on my list.
That's a good one, man. Definitely got like next man up, man. When
Right.
it comes to LSU quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's what they do there. It's a quarterback factory. All right. Rolling on to my number 8. Since did you have anything you want to add on Connor Wegman at all?
No, you actually said it quite well, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is a guy, Texas A&M, certainly has a really good program. Lost some key contributors this past year in the draft, more on the defensive side of the ball, but still, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in that conference, and it's a tough conference, so that certainly says a lot. But yeah, I think Wegman certainly has the poise and the arm talent to get him there.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's roll on to my number 8, and that is let's throw in one for my boy Mark Henry Jr., who I don't know if he's watching this on his honeymoon, but Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame, man, really good potential going forward. Riley Leonard, I think, is a dark horse this year. He was a little bit of a disappointment last year after totaling just 7 touchdowns in just an injury-filled 2023 season. This year, he's surrounded by a lot more talent, especially on the O-line. Duke had a horrible offensive line last year. So this guy is clearly, one that should easily bounce back in 2024. If he leads the Irish back to the college football playoff, I think he'll surely be on a short list of candidates, with a spot in New York City for the Heisman. Through 3 seasons with the Duke Blue Devils, he threw for nearly 4,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 picks. He's a dual threat quarterback who also rushed for over 1,200 yards and 19 scores, and was one of the more sought after quarterbacks in the portal. Notre Dame hasn't had a Heisman winner since Tim Brown back in 1987, the longest Heisman drought in school history. And he is recovering from injury back in March to help his ankle there. But this is a mobile quarterback with solid pocket presence and a knack for extending plays and moving the chains, solid mechanics, and keep an eye out for tight end Mitchell Evans for the Fighting Irish. Ryan, I know you like yourself a tight end. This guy is one of the top tight ends in college football and could benefit the most from the transfer quarterback. That's a little bit about Riley Leonard.
Yeah, no, Riley Leonard, and you can just go ahead and slot him in at my number 8 position. There, it seems like we're just
number 7,
or what was he? No, yeah, 7. Sorry, I forgot what number we're all on, but yes. So yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised when he entered the transfer portal, and going to Notre Dame, I think is a great move for him. If I was a PR guy, I would say that was probably the best move he could make. I love his arm talent. I love his not only his ability to get out of the pocket and run for a first down, but I love his mobility within the pocket. He seems like one of those guys that kind of just is aware of what's around him. Now, I will say, and you say it perfectly here in this kind of notes here, that he does engage a little too much, when it comes to getting hit. That's certainly something that he's got to work on, but outside of that, if he can stay, out of the clutches of the defense, I really do like him, honestly.
Yeah, he's. I hope for Mark's sake, he's going to have a successful year for Notre Dame. But let's roll on. I put him at number 7. Is that cool?
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I had him. I was reading the thing on the side there.
Cool. All right. I guess I'll just roll into
you go another one. Yeah.
my number set. No, this is my number 8, right?
This
10,
is your
9,
number 7.
number 7. Okay.
See, it's throwing you off. It
Oh
doesn't.
my gosh. I hope I didn't count this wrong. Give me a second.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I totally counted this wrong.
Oh.
All right. I'm gonna go.
Did you mess up?
Yeah, I did mess up. I'm gonna have to throw somebody out. But I think it's an obvious one, and I'm gonna go with a guy that is my guy. I thought he should have entered the draft last year. Give me Cam Ward out of Miami. I think this guy is just an uber talent. One of the more valuable transfers this past cycle. Maybe the best ACC quarterback, period. And again, I was a huge fan of this guy. I thought he was a first-round pick had he declared, but he returned. And this guy is just a touchdown machine, man. He's got 61 scores the last 2 years. And he's kind of trying to show the world that he's the missing piece. He's the missing link for a Hurricane squad that's looking for their first ACC championship or berth in the college football playoff era. In 2023, he started the season on just a 4-game heater, man, back for Washington State. I remember pumping this guy up early during the season, and the second half wasn't nearly as good as the first, but when this guy is on, this guy has elite arm talent. He can make throws that no other quarterback in this class can make. He's got excellent change of direction ability, 6'2", 220 plus pounds, amazing creativity and escapability, just a modern NFL quarterback. And you look at Miami, they were 7-6 last year, and Miami saw a lot of players leave the program and a lot of new players come in. A big issue for Miami on offense last year was poor red zone touchdown efficiency and turnovers. And they have a new quarterback here that if the offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson, can kind of build his new look offense around this guy, look out. Give me Cam Ward, which might be a little bit of a shocker.
Yeah, no, he was definitely somebody that I kind of had. I was debating whether or not him and Avery Johnson. I'm always a fan of Miami. Like, I'm not actually a fan of Miami, but I'm a fan of when they do well. So I secretly kind of root for them in the background. And Cam Ward is certainly going to be a huge part of that success for sure, and down in Miami.
Yeah. All right.
So,
do you want to go next?
10, 9, 8, 7. So I'm on number 6.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I may have messed up too. Whatever. We're rolling. We're rolling strong. I'm gonna go ahead with Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. This is a dude that I just love the fact he had a couple of nice playmakers there. He ended up with over 3,300 yards, 31 total touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. This is certainly somebody that could have come out. And I think he's going to battle 2 other SEC quarterbacks here that we're going to name in a second. Out for the top SEC quarterback. And I really I've been hearing nothing about or I've been hearing only about just the amazing leader that he is. I just love the way he throws. He's able to kind of get out of the pocket when need be. This is definitely a guy that I think you're going to hear a lot about. And he certainly is kind of a can-do-it-all quarterback. He just kind of needs to improve the accuracy here and there, especially with the deep ball, I would say. I like the kid. I think he's great for Ole Miss, and they got a couple of weapons down there that'll help him out for sure.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I had him number 4 on my list. I really like. There's a lot of guys in the top of the Heisman candidates that kind of are question marks. I think Jackson Dart, I spelled that wrong. Jackson Dart is a very, very talented quarterback. When it comes to like physical tools and just raw, utter talent, man, this guy's got it all. He led the Rebels to their first 11-win season last year in 2023. He had 31 total touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. And you look in 2024, man, Ole Miss has gone all in. They've added Juice Wells, who we've covered on this channel very well. And I think you look at Lane Kiffin's offense, I definitely see Jackson Dart as a dark horse for the Heisman. And maybe he could have declared for the 2024 NFL draft, but in this year, I think he has a true chance to be a first-round pick. He was a fringe 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's a passer attuned to the modern game. He's got arm strength, elasticity. He's got explosiveness. He's an extremely tough competitor. And all signs point to Dart and Juice Wells and Trey Harris to be one of the better threesomes in college football, man.
Love Trey.
Yeah, man. You remember you picked him multiple times.
Yeah.
For your
yeah, he is he's a big boomer bust guy. He's a guy that, last year that could give you, 200 yards, and then the next week he'd give you like 20. So
no joke.
I feel like if he gets a couple more targets and involved in the offense early, he's a guy that can just put up some numbers.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna roll into my number 5. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. My number 6. And this one's a little bit of a surprise because we're going away from the 2025 NFL draft. And I've been practicing this guy's name all day long. He is Nico Lieva. Oh my gosh. I can't. I already forgot.
I am Lieva.
I am Lieva. But yeah, it's all about projection. You look at Tennessee, like they undoubtedly had a drop off in terms of performance, going from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton back last year. The team went 9-4, and things are looking up in a big way because this guy is uber talented. He started the first game of his college career in the Citrus Bowl against a top 10 ranked defense in Iowa and just torched them. Absolutely torched them. It's not going to get any easier because they're in the SEC. But if you're looking at that Iowa game for hope and optimism, man, this guy should give you a lot of confidence. He's one of the more hyped up starting quarterbacks this year, and I expect this guy to be a household name sooner rather than later. He was the number 2 overall recruit in the 2023 class. He's 6'6". He has a huge arm, legit mobility out of the pocket, and he's operating within one of the more quarterback-friendly systems in all of college football. This guy just projects to put up insane Madden-esque stats. Give me Nico Lieva.
Yeah, no, he definitely is a guy that. Listen, I don't know how he's gonna kind of do this year, but I know that it's just going to be a building block for the following year when I truly believe, will most likely be the number 1 Heisman, hopeful heading into the season. Certainly, if he does everything that he should. I do not have him on my list, which may shock you, but he was a guy that I really thought about it, and I thought about putting him kind of, almost where you have him now, but I just think, I need to see a lot from him. And I personally don't trust Tennessee football right now.
Yeah.
Again, I hope to be proven wrong because this kid is a great story. It's I think, like I said, I think he's going to take that next step, which is this year, and kind of, put the building block in for his 2026 or 5, I guess it would technically be Heisman candidacy. So, but yeah, love Nico and very excited to see his game this year, honestly.
All right. Who's your next guy up?
So my next guy is finally a name that I'm sure people will be familiar with. And that's Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. You certainly know this name. This is a guy that kind of came into the spotlight last year with Bama, and yeah, listen, I just think he, again, wasn't necessarily the greatest quarterback last year, but I think, there were a lot of positive things to build upon. You saw that, he definitely runs that team. He commands, that locker room because they all play for him. And, he definitely is a guy that, it's an exciting dual threat. Certainly a guy that can take the ball and run forever. Honestly, and last year, again, his throwing wasn't the greatest, but I think when you kind of look at other quarterbacks, it might not seem that great, but again, he had a over 65% completion, over 2,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. Um, but a lot of his game is certainly rushing. Um, he's certainly what I think he got just over 500 yards and 12 touchdowns, just on the ground through 161 carries. So this is definitely a guy that in Alabama is always going to be in the consideration for the playoffs. So this is a guy that plays in big games, performs in big games, and again, I'm excited and hoping that he has improved some of his arm strength, arm talent, and accuracy, which I expect him fully to. So I'm excited to kind of see what the process or the progress of Melro. You muted. Mute.
I didn't have him in my top 10. It was a guy that I'm not officially sold on.
I get that. I get that.
And he was clutch in big moments last year, and they kind of shaped the whole offense around him better in the second half. More short to deep kind of passes rather than that intermediate range, which really helped him a lot. But he was the one guy that I kept off because I need to see it to believe it, which might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's kind of how I feel about Nico. Whereas Nico, again, we haven't really seen it. Whereas at least Jalen, I felt like I'll give him the nod because we have seen it. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't, the absolute best, but he took those Alabama team, pretty far on his shoulders. So,
all right, here we go. This is my most controversial one, no doubt about it. But yeah, for my number 5, the guy I am going with is not a quarterback. And is this the first one?
This is going to be the only one.
Yep. Give me Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. I know. Like, a running back hasn't won the Heisman since Derrick Henry back in 2015. But, what could be the number one offense in college football has to be represented on this list. I like Will Howard, the quarterback. I don't know if you have him in your top 4 or 5.
Yeah, he's my next guy. Yeah, he's my next guy. Yeah.
All right, but we'll talk about that. But I think if Ohio State dominates as expected, it's going to be on the ground and not through the air. It's going to be Quinshon Judkins. This is a guy who led the SEC in rushing as a freshman with over 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns 2 years ago. He followed that up with over 1,100 yards and 15 touchdowns in a banged-up sophomore year. He then transferred to Ohio State, who we all know is absolutely loaded. And I get that this is more of a long shot compared to some of the other guys here we're talking about. But I fully expect Judkins to go off in Chip Kelly's run-focused offense. As a prospect, this guy's the total package. He's got elite size for the position, as well as excellent strength and agility, fantastic contact balance, and explosiveness. This guy is nearly impossible to arm tackle, and he's going to be that thunder to Travion Henderson's lightning. And this offense is just ridiculously loaded. So I also want to do a quick shout out to Caleb Downs from Alabama, who transferred to Ohio State, who I think is just the next star in college football. But Quinshon Judkins is legit, man. That's my guy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the guys that non-quarterbacks that you have to consider. Um, when I was thinking about this, that was the guy that I didn't put on there is because you have Henderson, and I feel like again, I think they're almost gonna almost cancel each other out. I think Judkinson's obviously a little bit higher, but I mean we all thought Henderson was coming out last year, and he was going to be the number one, running back
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. And now he stays, and now they add, Quinjon, and it's like, Jesus, like you're gonna, it's like I said, it's a good problem to have for Ohio State.
It's
Uh,
unbelievable.
yeah, and speaking of Ohio State, I will go with Will Howard,
Okay.
who transferred in from Kansas State. They clearly, Ohio State clearly paid attention to the transfer portal here, as they just back to back. We got transfers coming in. But yeah, he came in from Kansas State. I think he ended up with over 2,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. His accuracy certainly could be improved. And yeah, he shined really big in certain games. Like the loss to Texas. I think he had 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. He just unfortunately ended up losing in overtime. But so you see these flashes that Will Howard can bring to the table. He kind of, not gonna lie, he kind of has like a baby face, punchable face here, but um, and I don't like Ohio State. I'm just throwing that out there for the record. But yeah, he seems to be a prototypical, NFL size, frame, arm talent, and he definitely has, he has a good presence, for inside the pocket. And is able to kind of bolt when he needs to. He's not necessarily a great runner or anything. That's for sure. But he did amass 350 yards on the ground for 9 touchdowns, so that is improving. But I feel like at Ohio State probably doesn't need to run the ball too much. But yeah, listen, I think where you're thinking that they're just going to run. I think the fear of the run is going to get other teams in trouble, and that's going to open up a lot of things for Will Howard to go over the top. And I think he's going to have some really big numbers, surprisingly big numbers, in that Chip Kelly offense for sure.
Love it. I agree. Well done. Let's go on to number 3. We're at number 3 already?
Yeah, I know, right?
Love it. Number 3, I'm going Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. And this is a guy that I'm not even a big fan of if you're like an NFL draft sicko like me. But I can't ignore it, man. I can't ignore the odds and the upside. This guy was a Heisman Trophy contender last year before Oklahoma lost to Oklahoma State. And this is a southpaw who led the Big 12 in passing and touchdowns and completion percentage last year. He could easily repeat those numbers in the Big 10, in an offense that could be right there with Ohio State, top 5 in college football this year. He's only 5'11", 204 pounds. The NFL height requirements for quarterbacks have kind of taken a hit in recent years. You look at Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and Bryce Young, all number 1 overall picks the last decade. That being said, I think Gabriel's more of a day 3 guy than a day 1 guy. He's got solid accuracy. He's solid in the intermediate to deep portions of the field. He's got to show much more consistency in the underneath areas, which is key because Bo Nix literally made a living on those short to intermediate concepts. And for me, it's all about, can Dylan Gabriel limit the overthrows in 2024? It's a huge question. I think he can, and that's why I have him so ranked highly here. And get used to hearing the name Tez Johnson for the Ducks. He's a wide receiver prospect that could form one of the best duos in college football this year. So Tez Johnson, Dylan Gabriel together are my number 3.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's he is my number 3 as well.
Okay.
I just think, when you're looking at this, we are talking about solely Heisman here. Now, yes, when you look at him, even if he wins the Heisman, I don't necessarily, as of right now, don't project him to be, a stud quarterback in the NFL. In fact, you put it up there, he's going to be 25 years old. I mean, that's kind of the Oregon quarterback way, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Bo
true.
Nix, Bo Nix is 24 right now. So, again, it's
And what's funny is they have like one of the elite young quarterbacks in the game, and I believe Dante Moore just sitting there. He
yeah,
transferred to Oregon, who is openly like Manning in Texas, just like, yeah, I'll take a year and just kind of take my time.
yeah, I guess. But yeah, listen, I just think he, given the weapons at Oregon, given the style, I think, yeah, he is certainly going to have himself a productive year numbers wise. And yeah, listen, I think he needs to prove a lot, though. You're right. He does kind of the arm strength, the accuracy, it all needs to improve. And listen, I hope it does. I am kind of rooting for this kid. I do like him. I love I love a good lefty quarterback. To be perfectly honest with you, but yeah, he needs to improve some of the skills if he's going to be anything more than as you say, they're a backup quarterback in the NFL.
As we all know, Shane from Birds of the Round Table is a huge Oklahoma fan, and he
Sure is.
hates that guy. Hates
Yeah,
him. So,
that tells you a lot.
all right. Do you want to go with your
I,
number
I,
two?
listen, I assume we have the same top 3 here.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so I mean, yeah, if you wanna start, and I'll kind of finish
Okay.
talking, and we'll do the same for one as well.
Number 2 is Travis Hunter out of Colorado. No, I'm just joking.
I was gonna say, you son of a.
It's Quinn Ewers out of Texas. You know, really successful year back in 2023. Maybe hasn't yet lived up to his like unbelievable billing kind of out of high school. Maybe it happens this year. He's the third year now in his third year starting, and he's been at his best in big games. You look at the game against Alabama and Oklahoma State. And this year, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for that. They play Michigan and Georgia and Oklahoma and Texas A&M all in 2024. He threw for 3,500 yards last year, and he's working with a whole new cast of wideouts as they basically went all to the NFL draft this year. Get to know Isaiah Bond, who is prime and ready to put up some silly stat numbers this year. That's going to be his go-to guy. But as a prospect, Quinn Ewers is very polarizing. His arm talent is clear. His on-the-field play definitely took a step in the right direction last year. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Cut his turnover-worthy play rate by more than half, 1.7 in 2023 compared to 3.6% in 2022. That being said, his mechanics and pocket placement, and he's not an elite athlete. There are definitely some concerns when it comes to strengths. This is a guy who can destroy teams in the intermediate area of the field. And looking ahead to this year, I think yours is surrounded by a new set of skill position players. And I think more is going to be expected from him to put this offense on his shoulders for better or worse. So, all signs point to Texas being one of the more likely teams to make it to the SEC championship for the Longhorns' first year in the conference, but it's not going to be easy. What's your take on Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football, and Texas certainly got themselves back into relevancy this past year, and that has to do with that offense. And they yours certainly had some great targets. AD, Worthy, my boy JT Sanders. So yeah, it's certainly going to be hard with the new cast of characters, but I don't expect them to take too long to kind of get back into the shoes that they'll be filling. And as Freddie Burns checks in, let's go. I'll take some Isaiah Bond, son. If it's the James Bond, love it. So yeah, Quinn Ewers again is very polarizing. I think right now he's one of my favorite prospects heading into the draft. Do I think he's going to be the first quarterback taken right now? No. But I think ultimately he could be one of those guys that ends up, third, fourth, whatever, that ends up being better than the rest. I just like him. I like the determination. I like what he brings out on the field, and he has stuff that you just can't teach. It's just stuff you have, and that's why I like Quinn Ewers for sure.
Expectations are sky high.
Oh my God, they're insane. I mean,
Yeah,
you have the whole state.
We have a Manning sitting on the bench waiting,
and that you have the hopes and dreams of an entire state, and you have one of the best football prospects sitting behind you, waiting to play. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's get to number one. Do you want to lead it off, or you want me to?
You can if you want. Keep going.
I'll take it. Obviously, it's Carson Beck out of Georgia.
Yeah.
In his first season as a starter last year, threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks, an adjusted completion percentage of 80.1%. He's surrounded by even more talent this year, both on the offensive line and skill positions. He's a guy that looks amazing inside the pocket. And when you watch the tape, man, it's no surprise why this guy's considered one of the top quarterback prospects in the draft. 6'4", 215 pounds. He's a nimble pocket operator, incredibly poised under pressure. He can scan the football field. He's got laser-like velocity. He can layer the football on all 3 levels, hit tight windows. And he's not the kind of elite athlete that some of these other guys that we mentioned, but there are definitely some vibes of like a Trevor Lawrence a little bit in this guy's game. And when you look at Georgia's chances this year, this is a team that came within 1 victory over Alabama of reaching the playoff and having a chance to win a 3rd straight national championship. I think when it comes pound for pound, talent for talent, I think this guy's right there for being one of the best players in the draft in 2025. And I think, this isn't even the big concern with Georgia. I think for Georgia, the big concerns come in that secondary. They lost Kamari Lassiter. They lost Tyke Smith. They lost Javon Bullard. But on offense, man, I think it's going to carry the defense in a big way. Carson Beck is my number one.
Yeah, listen, this was the clear choice for number one. And I think Georgia still has Starks, right?
Yes, they do.
But that's the only one. That's all they got. Right? I'm not saying that's all they got, but that's the big name. But yeah, listen, Carson Beck is certainly, certainly only a face that a mother could love. But I would say that he's clear cut the best quarterback here. Just threw for just under 4,000 yards. I mean, a 24-6 touchdown to interception ratio. It isn't necessarily a mobile quarterback, but has good pocket presence. Is kind of able to get around when needed. And I think I fully expect him to kind of be one of the first quarterbacks off the board in this upcoming draft. Hopefully he goes to a team that, I don't like. What's up, Rye? But yeah, he certainly is going to get Georgia back in. Well, obviously now that it's 12 teams, he's certainly going to get Georgia back into the playoffs. But certainly watch out for Georgia this year and on the shoulders of Carson Beck. He's just really fun to watch. Honestly, he really is. You can see he just oozes talent, and I love that.
Yep. So here is our top 10, man. Our top 10 Heisman hopefuls, and this is going to be a normal segment as college football season starts. We're going to do power rankings and trending up, trending down. We're going to take consensus rankings. It's going to be really fun. This is going to be a really exciting year in college football with the 12-team playoff. And Heisman's going to be even wilder than it has been. Ryan says, so it's true the Eagles are interested in bringing in a marquee linebacker. I forget who it was. I saw a rumor the other day.
I haven't heard any rumors lately. And a marquee linebacker?
Who would that be?
Yeah, who would that be? Like, what linebacker is even necessarily available?
Yeah,
there's no good linebackers just sitting at home. I'll tell you that. So yeah, right. If you can somehow look that up, I'd love to talk about that. But yeah, listen, this college football season is going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of great fun stuff planned for this year. A lot of great segments each week. We're going to go, once the season starts, we're starting. He says via trade. I haven't heard anybody being available, but again, the news, flies quick, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're going to wait and see what they got in Nakobe Dean and Trotter Jr. and Devin White and Zach Bond. And
the way Howie operates is certainly, if he sees a weakness, he certainly is always on top of it. And certainly if he sees, potential that, somebody gets injured elsewhere, maybe you can make a trade, or, somebody might, he thinks might become available. He might swoop in and, throw a 6th or 7th round pick to somebody rather than somebody getting cut, kind of thing. So, but marquee sounds like giving up significant draft capital. But anyway, listen. So we're obviously going to continue this going on. But yeah, I'm excited for week 0. We got a whole bunch of matchups already, on the calendar, already ready to talk about. And yeah, we got some fun things coming up. So if you love college football, or if you love the draft, if you love, talking about Eagles prospects, if you're into betting a bit, even if, you're not necessarily into college football, we'll get you into college football. Believe me, we'll have you betting on Russian, floorball, women's tournament that's going on right now in Singapore. But
what we'll do next week is talk about the best defensive line prospects. So I think that is, without a doubt, the biggest strength of this draft, position-wise, is the defensive line. And the Eagles could have a major need there.
Always. Don't say could. Always have a need on that line. It doesn't matter if the line is fully stocked. They're always going to be looking. So
maybe we'll do something like a top 10 defensive lineman.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot, man.
It's loaded.
I literally like 20 names just flooded past my head.
Loaded.
What the hell am I going to pick?
To the point where, like, there was a segment where there was some overlap, right? Like, I started 2025 coverage back in like February-ish.
Yeah, I think it was late February, early March, somewhere in that.
And when I just came across all these defensive linemen, I was actually surprised that Howie didn't trade for a future top pick in 2025, given the depth at that spot. Because you have Josh Sweat in a contract year and Jordan Davis, who the hell knows what you got there, and
unknown, and Josh Huff.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff. Wow, I just said Josh Huff. Sorry, but I've been hurt.
Khalil Mack. Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, I did not hear
Mack. I mean, listen, he's certainly up there in age, but he certainly was productive last year. He's with the Chargers, right?
I don't remember.
I think he was with the Chargers, and Chargers, God only knows what the hell's going on over there with, with Harbaugh. So, hey, listen, I've always been a fan of Khalil Mack. I'm down. You know me. I'm down to get any linebacker. If it doesn't cost us too much, I'm down. So, we'll keep an eye on that, Ryan. Appreciate you letting us know. But listen, this is gonna be fun. So strap in. Let us know. Again, if you want to see stuff from us, let us know. We're always very interactive with the people. So, we're here to have fun, and just like you. So.
And the goal is to make it Eagle-centric. So this is something I'm going to keep this. I'm going to take our consensus rankings and we're going to follow it all season long. But
Yeah.
ultimately, this show is typically Eagle centric, and maybe we'll do like, positions of need for the Eagles preseason wise,
Sure.
and go from there.
Yeah, because that certainly can always change too.
For sure.
throughout the season. So,
yeah,
we can pivot and adjust as we need to.
Yep. All right. So there is our Heisman rankings. I can't wait to go back and revisit this in 9 months. It's gonna be hilarious.
We're gonna be like, what were we thinking?
I think it's good, man.
I actually do. I mean, listen, quarterbacks are always, come on, they've won like 99.8% of all. That might just be a number I made up, but still, it's it's rare when other positions win it, and there's always somebody oh, this is the year that, and it just rarely ever happens. It's usually when there's not like a clear like quarterback that's like comes out and is studly. And then you're like, all right, let's start looking at the other positions, like Devontae Smith and Henry, like they won it. They had great seasons. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to belittle what they did, but there wasn't that quarterback those years that came out and you were just like, oh my god. This year there's tons of them. There's tons of quarterbacks. So.
Yeah. Some honorable mentions real quick. Travis Hunter out of Colorado.
Yeah, of course.
Just straight stud. Just because he plays both sides, and he's an amazing prospect. That we'll go into him in a little bit. I
have a question because this guy was certainly on my honorable mentions a week ago. Now,
Ollie Gordon.
Necessarily sure. Exactly. What are your thoughts on Ollie Gordon and his, fun week that he's had? What do you think that does? I mean, this is a guy that literally led the nation in rushing last year, won the Doak Walker, and now he gets arrested. And
it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating because he's right there. He's right there with Quinshawn for top running back in the country. And what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Dude? It's just
I get it. I get it. Some of these kids are getting access to a lot more money than they've ever been used to, and that it's a rough adjustment sometimes. But you got to be smart. I mean, Jesus, I don't know. So is he like?
He was my number 2 running back in the group.
Yeah, he was mine too. So has there been any word about him as far as like whether he's on the team or?
I have not heard. I just heard he was it was under investigation.
That's rough. That's rough. So, but yeah, he would have been an honorable mention.
Yeah, and there are some other big names worth. Running backs definitely a lot deeper this year as well. Like Donovan Edwards, Michigan.
Yeah.
Nick Singleton out of Penn State, Amari Hampton out of UNC, Ashton Jontry out of Boise State, Jaden Hott out of Cal, Devin Neal, Kansas always puts up yards.
CJ Baxter out of Texas.
CJ Baxter out of Texas is a good one. I feel like
Texas just puts them out.
Just like LSU and quarterbacks, like Texas out running backs.
That's just what they do.
Yeah.
What about the kid from Georgia, Etienne? Did you say him?
Travis Etienne could put up some monster numbers this year.
Trevor, or is it Travis? Travis?
It's one of those two. It's one of those.
There are too many Etiennes. I assume they're all
Etiennes.
they're all related, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's gonna be a really fun year. Do you have anything you want to plug?
No, just normal stuff out of me. Mondays, football smack talk show. So you can check that out tomorrow at 6:00. We're gonna be talking birds as we always do. Then of course, this guy and our buddy Rob for Party on Broad at 9:00. And then the best Eagles show in the nation, the Birds of the Round Table, Tuesdays at 8:00. We got a couple of fun shows coming up for you, so check that out. And I'm around. So
yeah.
you need a podcaster for hire or a voice actor, I'm available.
It's a busy week. Tomorrow at 5:00, I'm going to be doing a Sixers Summer League preview with Sean.
Oh, yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. And then tomorrow night for Party on Broad again, we'll be talking the Sixers Summer League first game and just talking whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, what time does that game start?
7. So
7,
it'll
right?
literally like be ending right when.
That's beautiful. I end Football Smack Talk show right before then. I'll watch that. I'll go right into Party on Broad. It's gonna be a great Monday night. Let's go.
Yeah. Mitch will be joining us. He wants to talk Sixers as well. We'll see. It'll be fun.
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Rob and Mitch together in one place. Oh man.
Who knows what could happen?
Who knows what could happen, folks?
All right, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. We're wrapping it up here. We'll be back next week. He is Ryan. One last time at Philly Sports PSA. I'm Daz, Mr. Crockpot. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay awesome.